How you guys doing today? Jason here with Hatfield Country. Thought I'd do a little video for the beginning gardener. If you've never grown a garden before, my first tip would be to decide what you want to grow. And I guess the best way to do that is, what do you like to eat? What does your family like to eat? And that way you can plan your garden according to how much space you have. Are you growing in the ground, in containers, or both? And just kind of lay out your garden on paper and kind of come up with a game plan for how many plants that you need to buy. And if you're planting potatoes, they take up quite a bit of room. So corn, that takes up a lot of room if you like both of those. But just decide what you're going to grow, how much room you have, and that'll give you a good idea of how much of each that you need to buy. All right, so my next tip, you've got your garden planned out and got all your plants selected, everything you're going to grow. So now you'll want to look up your last expected frost date, because you don't want to put money in all these plants and seed and put them in the ground too early and have a frost and kill them. So of course it's different in every area of the country. Down south in Georgia and Mississippi, Louisiana, them places, some of them people can grow year round, but like here in Kentucky, we'll have frost up till the beginning of May. So just want to make sure that you know when your last expected frost date is. All right, so the next thing you want to do is research the types of fertilizer that each of your plants needs, because different plants need different amounts of each kind, and also know the numbers on the bag of fertilizer. So I don't know if you've heard people talk about N, P, and K. So your N is nitrogen, that's the first number. The second number is your phosphorus, and that's P. And then the last one, K, that's your potassium. So like I said, different plants have different needs, so just research that. For example, corn is a very heavy nitrogen feeder. Onions are heavy nitrogen feeder. So just make sure that you learn what each plant needs. All right, my next tip, weed control. So, I know when I first started gardening, I tilled it up. It looked all nice and clean. I was so proud, and got everything planted. Everything looked nice and clean. And then as the ground temperature started to warm up and we got our first rains, plants started growing, but guess what? So did the weeds. So have a good plan for weed control. In the past, I've used woven weed barrier and just burned holes in it and planted my plants in that. That way the weeds couldn't grow up through the weed barrier. That works okay. I don't really do that much anymore because I got tired of taking it up every year. So what I do now, pretty much, I'll put grass clippings around some of the plants, especially in my containers that I grow in. But last year I bought a double wheel hoe from Hoss Tools. I did a review video on that last year. But anyway, about once a week you go out there and cultivate on the garden, and with the attachments that it has on it, it allows you to control the weeds, because you don't want to, after you do your initial tilling of the garden, you don't want to use that as a cultivator, because those tines go so deep in the ground, and all you're doing is continuously bringing up new weed seeds to germinate, and weeds will get out of control. They'll compete with your plants for water and nutrients, and your garden won't do as good. So definitely stay on top of the weeds. All right, so my last tip would be to have a plan to preserve all of your harvest. So of course, you can eat fresh out of the garden throughout the growing season. That's good. I mean, it's nothing better, nothing more fresh than veggies out of your garden. So, but if you grow a big enough garden and you plan, you can preserve your harvest to eat on it throughout the fall and winter months until next year's garden. So we can a lot of beans, canned peppers. Love to eat those throughout the year. You can also get you a vacuum sealer. You can freeze things like corn. I mean, you can freeze a lot of things. just come up with a plan, because you don't want, you don't want to have all this stuff from the garden that you put a lot of time and effort and money in, and then don't have a way to preserve it. So learn how to can. Get you a ball canning guide that'll tell you how to preserve any fruit and vegetable that you grow, and you'll be able to enjoy them all year long. So hope these tips helped, and I will see you guys next time.